All right, so we are in Las Vegas, and tomorrow is the NAB Show. I'm super pumped for this weekend. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to expect because it's my first time here at NAB. I got invited to the super secret dinner for Aputure. I'm going to be going out Day with Maze the next night on his little event. Pretty much just going to see where this weekend goes. But in this video, we're going to show any kind of new cool products that come out. Maybe I'll interview some people. Just some recaps about NAB because I don't want to go too in depth with this video with this. It's going to be a little bit more of a vlog and more of a hangout. But NAB starts tomorrow, so I have the whole rest of the night off. So we'll catch back up in the morning. Later. We have made it to NAB. Let's get inside. All right, editing Kyle here. So when I got inside NAB, I was pretty much just like a kid in the candy store. Lots of just shiny objects all over the place. So I just kind of totally forgot to like talk to the camera. I just filmed a bunch of stuff. So let's just kind of quick over a recap of what just happened in day one. So first when I got inside, I just kind of made my way around the floor, just kind of figured out where everything was at. I checked in with the Aputure booth because I needed to get like the little token for the super secret Aputure film dinner that was going on later that night. But then I made my way back to the Condor Blue booth because Josh Yeo was going to be showing up pretty soon. I wanted to say hi to him. So we went back there. First, we kind of checked out the booth. They have lots of really cool stuff, you guys. If you haven't checked out Condor Blue, they got really awesome like cages, accessories, shoulder mounts, pretty much a lot of cool stuff that you can use to like rig up your camera. But they also partnered with Josh Yeo to build some of the joints and some of the mounts on his Orbit system, which he was going to be talking about. In fact, I'll just kind of show a little bit of the interview of Josh talking about Orbit.
So I had this idea like a couple of years ago. I wanted to be able to film somebody working with their hands like on something and have that perfect parallax all the way around and have whatever it is that they were working on be the center of the focus. So you didn't have to see their face, but like it was just a way to show more of what they were doing. And that for some reason that was like the visual in my head. I was like, how do you do that? And then I was like, well, I had a time-lapse motor. I had a Syrup Genie time-lapse motor that I bought for like $1,100, and I wasn't really using it that much. And then I just attached like a wooden plank to it, and then attached it to my ceiling. And it was the shortest little plank too. It could barely, like in the first shot that I did, it barely fit around my head, but it worked. It was like a proof of concept. It totally worked, but it was like so janky. Like you would not trust that this thing was above you. And every time I like improved upon that, so I made the pole metal, and then I made it a little bit bigger, and then I figured out more of the optics, and I was like, oh, it works better if you counterbalance it, right? And so I kept improving it, but meanwhile, I had this janky setup that at any moment could come crashing down on you, and so I was always like putting it up, and then like doing all the shots like this, waiting for this thing to crash down, and it wasn't until like, I don't know, like 3 years ago that my college best friend John, who does manufacturing with fitness equipment, I kept bugging him about it. I was like, yo, let's go make this thing because I have this idea. I have a prototype. It really, really works. Like it's so stupid and simple. And all it is a motor that spins. It just puts a camera on there, and it's a way for someone to film themselves without always needing a camera off. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you guys have experience with having DPs with cameras and like gimbal use, and if you ever want to get that perfect arc shot, you have to you almost have to show them how to do it, and you're like, no, like I want it center frame, and then just you gotta but you're using your whole body, and there's
make me the focus.
Exactly.
Circle.
Otherwise they drift out, the subject drifts out, and
which is just natural human.
And the same thing with slider shots. The beauty about a slider is that you can put a really long lens on a slider. and it's smooth. And so that I wanted that level of smoothness, and I wanted to keep the subject in focus and totally within that perfect parallax arc. And so it just kind of improved upon that, and I brought John on board, and that's when the trouble began. And I realized just how freaking impossibly hard it is to be a to manufacture your own stuff and like to build it from the ground up.
So also one of the cool things about the Condor Blue booth is it kind of became this like central hub for all the like different huge YouTube channels to just show up at. So it was just kind of surreal seeing just all these different people that you watch on a weekly basis just kind of show up and talk to you, which is kind of cool. So anyways, like when we were hanging out, Gene Nagata showed up, Potato Jet, as you might know, and he was just sitting there vlogging around on a really ridiculous cinema lens from Atlas. I think it was like a 21 millimeter, but when he handed me that thing was like a 6-7 pound setup. It was ridiculous. But of course it's Potato Jet, so he's just walking around vlogging on this ridiculous camera in the most Potato Jet way you can do. So
what's up, man? Oh, hold on. Yeah, look at that. Oh, anamorphia? 2x anamorphia. Yeah, look at that, huh?
Let's do minimum focusing distance.
Oh, you want to see the minimum focus? It's not bad, actually. Dude, check it out, though.
No, it's insane. The minimum focus is so close on that.
Yeah.
So it was cool to run into him again. I haven't seen him in over a year. I also met up with Michael Tobin, who's got a pretty cool channel. He actually just hit 50,000 subscribers that day. So it's a pretty cool day to be there as a YouTuber hitting that kind of milestone. So later I made my way back to the Tilta booth, checked out all the cool stuff they have there. They got all these really just insane like car mounts. They have like this really cool helmet. They had like a mount where you can mount a camera on the helmet itself. So you get kind of that like POV view. Which would be really cool for like doing a lot of cool activities when you want to use like a big mirrorless camera. The Tilta booth is cool. They had like a really old car. I don't remember if it was like a Ferrari or something, but they had it all rigged up, and that was kind of interesting to see in person. So pretty much we just kind of hung out until we had to get going to the Aputure super secret film dinner party, and that was at the Paris Hotel in downtown in the Strip. So it took a little bit to get there. Honestly, at this point, I didn't really bring any of my cameras or anything because mostly it was just kind of a gathering, a hangout. And Aputure was also going to be showing some of their new products. So I figured they just didn't want cameras leaking their surprise that they were going to announce the next day. So one of the really cool things about the Aputure dinner party, as well as just kind of the after parties in general at NAB, is it gives you this really cool opportunity to be able to like network with people, meet and greet people, hang out with people, kind of just make new friends in this community that we're in on YouTube. And that's something that you wouldn't normally get to do a lot unless you're all in one place. So I think that's kind of one special thing about NAB is all these things that happen outside of the show as well. I feel like I met a lot of different creators in this event. At Aputure's dinner party, there was just tons of really huge YouTube channels present, as well as like some cinematographers from like big movies. So it was a really cool event. I'd like to give another shout out to Ted Sim for inviting me to the Aputure party. I had a really great time. So anyways, after the party, I went back home because I was just super tired. It was a long day and getting ready for day 2. So day 2 at NAB was probably the longest day that I spent at the convention. I pretty much went everywhere at the convention on that day. So right away we went back and checked out the Sony booth, and you know, surprisingly it wasn't just all cameras and lenses. They had a lot of like TVs and different electronics, and it was way more things in there than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was mostly just going to be cameras and stuff. So right outside of the Sony booth was the B&H photo area, and it was a really cool setup they had there. It was kind of like, I almost felt like you were shopping there. They had a lot of stuff that you could actually buy. But then they had kind of separate areas for some of the companies that didn't bring a booth there. So there was like a DJI area, there was a Rode microphone area. They actually had the Sony Air Peak drone, which was kind of cool to be able to see in person. That thing was pretty big. But I mean, obviously it has to be if it's going to be flying around, big full frame camera. So another really cool thing that was at NAB is that there was all these like robotics that they had there. Whether they were like the robot arms holding the cameras. They had a cool thing out front we'll get to later. But they had like these kind of like cars that were all like electronic or remote controlled, where they could mount like big cinema cameras on them and just like wander around. But of course they were using that to just kind of wander around part of NAB, so that was kind of fun to see. Then they had this like really big like remote control unmanned car robot thing that had this huge rig on it. I mean, you'd have to see it in person to kind of like really see it. I'll show a little bit of the video here on that. But it was just kind of cool seeing how they're like implementing a lot of these robotics into different like commercial or film, just to get like precision accuracy with like movements, which maybe that's not a great thing either. We'll see. Or maybe things will get too perfect nowadays. So while we were walking around, we checked out the Nanlite booth, and they had all like the Pavo tubes on display, like the light tubes, the RGB. But they had like an 8-foot tall one, which was just kind of insane to see. I don't know if that's something they actually sell or make, or if it was just on display, but it's pretty interesting to see nonetheless. So another really cool thing that I saw at the NAB light booth, they had the NAB Lux like key light, and it's clearly waterproof because they have like a shower above it, and it was just like raining down on all the electronics, and it was just kind of cool to see that that's how they showcase the light as like a total waterproof, water resistant kind of thing. So then we made our way back to the Condor Blue booth because they've been doing a lot of interviews throughout the day. We checked out the interview with iPhondo. It was really cool to hear him speak. It was cool to meet him afterwards. But that's when things got a little fun. So when we were back there, Josh Yo was still there. He'd been there the whole weekend. He was meeting and greeting people. Every time someone came up to him that was a fan that was like a size small, he had a bunch of these like Make Art Now like denim button-ups that he just wasn't selling. So he just started giving them away to all these kids, which is really cool to see. But that's when it kind of got interesting. So Josh basically kidnapped me and a couple other people and said, we're going to go around this whole place and just have fun. So right when you walk in front, there was this like big robotic arm Unreal with this like Tron motorcycle in the front. And it had like the real, we basically just kind of took it over. Josh went in there. We filmed Josh on the bike itself, as well as the footage that the camera took. And we were just kind of joking around, teasing about making Anamorphia 3. So you just did the Unreal ride over here on the motorcycle thing.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
It was unreal.
I think some of that needs to end up in like Anamorphia.
Oh yeah.
Just having you like.
I'm gonna make an Anamorphia 3 spoof promo video with that. Anamorphia 3, starring Josh Yo, edited by Josh Yo, shot by Josh Yo and View Studio.
Just do like a teaser.
Yeah, exactly. Me.
I don't know
featuring his time machine, the storyline. He travels back in time to interact with himself and film himself.
No matter how many times I do this shoot, I always find something new. Anamorphic lenses behave different than spherical lenses. You get that telephoto depth of field, but with wide-angle shot.
We're looking for buildings to film then.
No, Otis. We're looking for parallax.
After that, we went over to the Vegas Loop, which, if you don't know what that is, it's an underground loop with Teslas that drive you to different locations. I don't know if it's actually built in Vegas yet, or if it's just under the convention center at the moment. But it sounds like that's going to be the future, is they want to have this like underground Vegas Loop using Teslas. And that was pretty cool. We did like a round trip on that. The only thing that was kind of disappointing though is that it felt very like Space Mountain, but it didn't have like any of the sound effects or the music. It was just kind of, we were doing 20 miles an hour through a tunnel, and I wish we were doing like 50 with sound effects and music. That would have been really cool. So after NAB finished, we actually went out to meet up with Dave Mays, who was holding a creator event at an In-N-Out Burger, and I'll just let him explain what we did.
So this is the Dave Mays In-N-Out Hangout, man. I haven't had In-N-Out in about a year because I used to live in LA and now I don't, and they don't have it in Nashville, so I've been dying for this, and I've been waiting. I haven't eaten any since I've been here. So just a bunch of creators hanging out. Have you ever had In-N-Out before?
Oh yeah, so I was just in Texas like a week ago and I went like 3 nights in a row.
Okay, sweet.
And then Colorado the night before.
Yeah,
I got one.
So good.
None of them are as good as California.
I know. We'll see if Vegas. We'll see if Vegas will do
Vegas
it.
In-N-Out. See. So pretty much we just hung out. We ate some burgers. We chatted about camera stuff, YouTube stuff. That's what you do when you hang out with creators, is you just talk YouTube stuff.
First of all, it's so good to see Dave again. I got my start on YouTube shooting and editing for Dave, and I don't get to see him as much ever since we moved back to Tennessee. So seeing him here, it's like, yeah, the family feels complete again, you know?
Yeah, I look
so
really
I love him,
different
man. I love Dave. I love you.
Yeah,
I love you to death. And all these guys, it's great that you were able to pull a community together outside of NAB.
We meet
You're
like
just
400
chilling. Like, this is
people a
awesome, man.
But then before a bunch of people left, we decided to take like a big group photo. I handed someone my camera, but I forgot to take it out of S&Q mode, so I got like a 20-minute clip of us just posing for a picture in slow motion. So after a few people left, we had this thing that happened that was just, I don't know how to explain it, but there was a garbage can with the most like scruffy bird I've ever seen. Like that bird is the epitome of like Vegas. Like that bird has seen some things in its day. And it started as just kind of like talking about the bird. Then it was like an hour and a half later had gone by, and there was just so many jokes and puns with this bird. And then we started taking photos of it. And at this point, once one person's taking photo of it, every one of us has cameras out. We're taking video, we're taking photo. So we named this bird Milton because that just seemed like the right name for this bird. As you can see in this picture here, this bird's got like stuffing coming out of it. It's the epitome of like a homeless bird in Vegas. And it turned out to be like one of the funnest nights I had in Vegas. It was just crazy fun, joking around, and like we were all completely sober, which was bizarre that you would have like a night to remember in Vegas sober. But so that was pretty much the end of day 3. It was really awesome to meet all the different creators that Dave had at his party. And also Dave Mays will be on Creator Camp in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. But we had to get back to the hotel, get to bed because day 3 was coming up pretty quick. Okay, so it's day 3 at NAB. We're just going to finish around, walk around a few different booths, check out a few different places. I got to go interview Aputure still. I'm going to check out the Zhiyun booth real quick here, see what upgrades they have to the Crane M3 if they added any of the accessories. I haven't checked out that Crane M2S yet, so we'll look at that too. So let's just walk around and have some fun today.
Hey, this is Brandon from Aputure from NAB 2022, and just yesterday we announced the Lightstorm 600C Pro. This completes the 600 series trilogy with D, X, and C, and making it the first full color point source from Aputure and also the highest output RGB WW chipset on the market, featuring 600 watts of full color output through RGB WW technology. This allows us to get super clean whites in both warm white and cool white via our high SSIs of 74 and 85 for D56 and tungsten, while still getting us extremely high quality output because we're using white light technology and white chips because those are more efficient than other forms of producing white light. So here we have the 600C Pro. It matches everything else with the 600D Pro and 600X Pro when it comes to Pro Lightstorm technology. That means it has built-in CRMX for Lumen Radio via TMO2 chips. It has SACN and ArtNet, and this one has an EtherCon port for those sturdy studio setups. It also has 5-pin DMX in and out, and of course, more importantly, Sidus link control for easy use without a router when you're on the go and just running and gunning. Inside this fixture, we have this all new interface, allowing us to control everything very, very smoothly. All I have to do is select a light mode, and I can go from CCT, and you can see here, let me turn down the intensity so I don't blow out the camera right here. I can change everything from the CCT, from 220, 300 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin, as well as adjust green magenta control. But I can also go into our advanced HSI, choose a saturated color that I want. Let's go full saturation. I like 210 degrees cyan personally. That's one of my favorite colors that our lights can produce. So I can do that. I can set my CCT a little bit better, more something like 5600 Kelvin. And then at the same time, I can actually save this as a preset. So I just have to click here, save it as a preset, and now whenever I want to, if I go to a different mode, like for example XY mode, I can always come back to, let's say I adjust my XY mode to something that's a little bit different. I can hit the preset button, select preset 1, open it, and I'm back to exactly what I set before, both in intensity, hue, saturation, and the CCT. So this is using our optical color blending prism and our color blending optical technology, as you can see on the front of this light right here. One thing that we do in our Lightstorm lights is we make sure that everything blends together so you can use it with optical accessories. So here we have a similar version of the color blending technology that we use on the 300X and the 600X Pro, but except we made it even better and use it to mix a 5-color chipset. RGB diodes, as well as warm white and cool white, and something that's warmer than 3200 Kelvin and cooler than 6500 Kelvin. To get us a broader band of that spectrum and also higher output at 5600 Kelvin, which is the most important time when you're trying to battle that daylight output. The LS600C Pro also features weather-resistant design, just like the 600D Pro and the 600X Pro. So you can use this out in the rain. I've seen the 600D Pro and 600X Pro using the rain, using a monsoon, using the snow in Korea. So you can use it in cold weather and warm weather, up to 45 degrees Celsius, which is about 113 degrees Fahrenheit. This guy has been through a lot of torture tests, 600D Pro, 600X Pro, and 600C Pro, and I'm very confident that it's going to be able to work in almost most of the situations that you're going to be putting it through when it comes to inclement weather. You have a bunch of modes in here for professional level control, from CCT to advanced HSI. FX, of course, we have 15 built-in lighting effects, just like the Nova P300C, as well as RGB control, XY control, which is the most important for when you're matching light sources across a broad band of manufacturers or even within our own light ecosystem, as well as source presets, and of course over 300 gel presets. All of this again is controllable through our professional control methods and as a pro fixture. In addition, as a little bonus, in addition to using multi-voltage battery plates, which accepts 14.4 volts, 26 volts, and 28.8 volts, you have a 48 volt DC input via 3-pin XLR, so you can use things like the Gen Energy Monster Kit to power this guy up to 100% if you don't have V-mount batteries that can do so. But this guy, as a pro level fixture, can charge batteries at 3 amps, just like a standard battery charger as well. So you have a lot of technology built into the 600C Pro. It is perhaps the most advanced fixture that we have built to date. And I say that every single time that we come up with a new fixture, because every single time we're trying to strive for unlocking new technology boundaries and basically making the best product that we can. And here we have finally the 600C Pro that completes the Lightstorm 600 trilogy.
So after this interview with Brandon, I did have to dip out because I had to get back to the airport and get back to Minnesota. But spoiler alert, Aputure won like 4 Product of the Year awards at that booth, including that Aputure 600C Pro, which is really awesome to see in person. So that's my weekend at NAB. It was a great event. It was great to meet all of you guys who came up to me. It's great to meet all these other creators. But yeah, I had to get going back onto the airport to get back to Minnesota. And if you guys get a chance to go to NAB next year, I would highly recommend going. It was a blast being able to just network and meet with all these people. And I will definitely be going back next year. So anyways, if you've made it this far into the video, thanks a lot for watching. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Later.